All right, let's do this. I know, it's like we've never done this in our life. Chaz, we've honestly done this a few times.
No, I know. I've seen your show. So
we've had an amazing night tonight. Beautiful thunderstorm. Just absolutely great day on the bluff today. Floodwaters here on this end. Plus, we're all excited about this micro mark. This is some neat stuff. So here we go, guys. Befodin, give us a countdown, and let's try to make this one work.
3, 2.
This is the What's Neat This Week show number 77. We've got people from all over the country on tonight. I know it sounds like I say that all the time, but every week we do.
They keep coming.
It's awesome. Best hobby in the world, guys. Show number 77 starts right now. The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. And by ValueTrainsUSA.com. Get your very own What's Neat This Week boxcar at ValueTrainsUSA.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week show / podcast number 77, the best model railroad hobby in the world. June 1st, 2019. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. That's an amazing online magazine that we all are familiar with. And tonight we've got a special guest. All the way from the East Coast, I've got Chaz Fox from Micromark.
Hi there. Great to be here for
Yeah.
the 77th show.
Awesome. I've also got an airline pilot with us this evening, Dan Parmelee. He's been by here a few times, shared some of his models with us, and tonight he's got some interesting stuff to talk about on the show. I've also got our favorite, James Regier from the Magic House in Kirkwood, Missouri. What a magnificent museum you have. I can't wait to get in there with some cameras. But what has really blown people away, James, is that airplane that you brought 2 weeks ago with the propellers. I have had more people comment about that on the phone this week. I've also got Michael Budde, Mike Budde, Mr. Automobiles. We love you, Mikey. And we've also got a special guest, Greg Javonillo, who's going to be on a little bit later on in the show, but he's got some beautiful locomotives here that he's going to show off to us. And I was going to go right into new news. You guys have been here all night with us on the bluff. You've seen the historic flooding that we are having on the Mississippi River.
And down St. Charles, too, that Katy Trail. That water's almost up to that little station they have down there with the cabooses.
A lot of the railroads have been shut down because of sandbagging efforts and closing levees. So far, the levees around here are holding. I've heard down in Arkansas they're not, but we had some amazing footage of a storm rolling in tonight, and the flooding out there is amazing.
Yeah.
We also been working on the Garden Railroad, pulling out some more bushes, trying to get the trestle kind of. It's not running this week. We'll have it running next week, I promise. I know. Gordy Robinson, all the way from the UK, came by and visited with us. Mikey, man, tell me how much fun that was.
Yeah, he was kind of hard to understand sometimes with his Scottish accent, but he's a lot of fun.
Yes, we got to teach Daniel how to spin some yarn. There was all kinds of new sayings that I've never heard before, but I found them to be extremely interesting. What a magnificent go-getter Gordy is. He's an overachiever, I could tell that, and he really does have a passion for the hobby. I understood he tried to run for the NMRA official position here, and I don't know how that worked out, but he's just a great guy. So anytime you see Gordy Robinson, give him a high five for us. We enjoyed having you here on the show. It was fun to have you over here and hanging out with us. We've got a new website set up, the What's Neat This Week website. It is sort of up and going, and it's going to be a work in progress. So kind of hang tight for that. One thing we do want to talk about tonight, and I'm not trying to hog the microphone, but here we go. ValueTrains.com has finally come out with the What's Neat This Week 50-foot boxcar. Comes with Katy wheels and Katy couplers. It is on Value Trains' website at valuetrains.com. So for all of those folks that said that they wanted to put a What's Neat freight car in their consist on their layout, they will be available presently in HO scale, and they are on his website. So check it out at valuetrains.com.
Think they'll ever do them in N scale?
I don't know if he
Maybe
can
if
do
they
that.
do well enough in
But
HO.
Derek has just done a fantastic job. Michelle Kempema at the museum out in Colorado, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. They love their dinosaur cars and their museum cars that they received. And we've got some special guests down here in the basement tonight that were at Sugar Fire with Joshua, who can't be here tonight because he's hammered by a hockey game with the St. Louis
Baseball,
Blues,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a baseball game, St. Louis Cardinals. So the line is around the building at more than an hour wait at Sugar Fire today. But he gave him a boxcar. He gave him one of the boxcars with the flames on it. So rock and roll, Joshua, for being such a great guy. We love you, man. We miss you here tonight. So, Mikey, without further ado, I think you got some stuff you want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I've got that Boston and Maine boxcar there. That's from Nick Molo at Moloko Models. And he sent us some of those boxcars a couple months ago, and we were going to weather them for charity purposes. Jeff Meyer's got one, and Ken's got one. All I've done so far is put the nice fade on it because I've been working on other stuff lately, but I wanted to bring and just show how
That's looking really
far I
great.
got.
That's
Yeah,
awesome,
that looks
Mike.
great.
Where did you say we were going to donate the money to? Who on that?
Well, I'm going to do either Alzheimer's or cancer, but there's a lot of
And so we got to
charities,
finish. We got
worthwhile
another
charities.
yellow freight car over there that needs to be weathered as well.
Right, maybe autism. I don't
That's
know.
absolutely fantastic.
But another thing I got here is this step van. That's from Greg Dixon in Pittsburgh. He's molding and casting those. It's a P20 Chevrolet step van. It's built on a 125-inch wheelbase chassis from a Chevy pickup truck. It's the smallest, not the shortest, but the smallest step vans available, and it's a really nice little model. So those will be going on sale by Greg sometime soon.
Well, those are awesome.
And,
I remember
yeah.
seeing those things everywhere.
Yeah, they were pretty ubiquitous in the 70s and 80s. So
My stepdad drove one of those. I do remember it. He was in the heating and air conditioning business, and that was a favorite type of vehicle for
Right.
that industry.
Oh, yeah.
right,
Because you could fit
newspaper
all your
deliveries.
equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I loved it when he brought the truck home because us kids could play in it, and that was like really neat. Magnificent memories. Chaz Fox, we're going to go to you out there at Micromark. I've got to tell you what, Chaz, every day when you wake up, it's got to be absolutely amazing to work in a place where you work. I mean, I don't want to call it a toy store, but you've got every tool necessary to build anything. How cool is that?
Well, it is cool. I have a great job, and my team has a great job. Most of my team has been here for quite some time. I think the average tenure is about 14 years. And they, to do what we do, we have to do a lot of different things. We have a warehouse. We have to provide fulfillment. We have a call center. We have to provide technical support. We have to create catalogs and create a nice presentation on the internet, emails, digital marketing. All those things come together. Those are a lot of different types of people. And I've never been in a company before that the people did the thing that they were doing. In other words, all these people are modelers. And so I think speaks a lot to why Micromark is where they are and what they do. I'm just privileged to be a part of it. This is the greatest hobby in the world, and Micromark is completely privileged to be a part of it. And it is our people that I think make it something that customers like.
That's awesome. You've sent us a lot of different photographs here through the internet, and there was a really neat device that you've got. You got a lot of neat devices,
Right.
and I can't wait to start talking and asking you questions. But this sonic cutter, James, you were talking about this
Wonder
tonight.
Cutter?
The Wonder Cutter. Tell us about that. That's a magnificent tool.
Well, I'll be glad. So the Wonder Cutter, we were skeptical. When I first saw it, I hadn't touched it yet, and I was like, and I saw the price point, and I was, that's just crazy. But I put my hand on it, and it just cuts like butter. And then I gave it to people that really are good at modeling, and they said this is amazing, and we can't keep it in stock.
Wow.
And we have a U.S. exclusive on it. We think this thing is great. I want to work on what we can do to bring down the price, but it is right now what it is, but it is amazing. It's an amazing product.
Now this microcutter, it uses sonic technology to basically apply the sort of micro scores that you would to your X-Acto knife if you're cutting styrene or doing that kind of maneuver. That has a lot of potential to just make that job so much easier, because it's really tough to maintain that light touch over multiple scores across that same piece of styrene. So
the biggest
sounds like a
biggest
brilliant
problem
idea.
we have, our problems with this are much lower than a new product that I've ever seen. The biggest problem is that people naturally want to press down really hard, and that's not how the device works. You have to just flow with it, and it gives you this gracefulness and precision that I don't know that other people have experienced before. So
absolutely,
it's intuitive that you want to cut this thing, so you want to press on it, but you don't need to.
Right.
That's absolutely amazing. Now, this company, you have been in business since 1928, and you've got quite a history, don't you? You guys really started out more or less not as a hobby, but I mean, the scientific name is associated with the old airplane models that you all used to make. Tell us about that.
So Scientific Model started in 91 years ago in East Orange and moved to Newark, and really served. There was a store in Newark that served the customer, but really was serving small shops throughout the country. So it was a B2B sort of a business. It has evolved in terms of what hobbies we've serviced. We've always sort of focused and been about the tools. And in modeling, a lot of the tools are the same. They work in multiple different hobbies. And so it was a natural place for us to be in model trains, and we've been there and sort of put our stamp in the model train business. We moved from Newark to Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, which is just I couldn't throw a football that far, but it's not that far. And now we've been here since the 70s, and a lot, like I said, a lot of our people have been here for that long. They're the people that have been here in the company for a very long time. Second generation owned, which is unusual for a company that's 91 years old. It's a family type atmosphere in the building. We eat together, we hang out together. It's just a special place.
And you said some of the employees have been there for a very, very long time.
That's true.
Very dedicated
over 35
staff.
years.
That's awesome. It's got to make your job a lot easier when you've got a staff like that.
Yeah, and he was saying before the show that even their call center, both tech and sales, is right there in New Jersey.
Wow.
Right, and staffed by very experienced people.
Yeah.
Who can tell you what.
How many people do you support there? How many people work there?
It's around 50 people.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I think Waters is like 125.
And this is a thick catalog too.
That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Micromark catalog because it's something that your company is famous for. I have received one through various parts of my life in the last 30 years, on and off. I just started getting some again recently after I bought that Microlux saw that I had to pick up the other day, which I love. And I'm on my third one because I wear them out every 10 years. Not that they're bad saws, but I use them a lot. It is the most amazing fine cutting saw, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit more about that. But tell us how everybody can get one of these catalogs, because this is the first thing I want to get in people's hand. This book needs to be right on your workbench. This is a tool, so that as soon as there's something you need or you think you might need, you go through this, you find it, you locate it, and you call them. The call center's ready to go, right? Or order online. But tell us how to get this catalog, Chas.
So I've always been in the catalog industry my entire career, and the catalog industry has been, up and down. But now people want a physical catalog, and our customer certainly wants a physical catalog. So the way to get, we send out a monthly catalog, monthly, and so the way to get it is just to go to the micromark.com, and there's a little icon. You can see it right away at the bottom to get a catalog, or you can just call the number on the site, and we'll be glad to send you a catalog. Give us your address, and we'll be glad to do it.
I'm going to give that phone number right here: 1-800-225-1066. You can order toll free and get your free Micromark catalog sent to your model railroad shop, so that when you need it, you can go through it, and the tools are there. The one beautiful beautiful thing about this show is when we look at our numbers, we know that most of the majority of the people that watch this show have been in the hobby for 10 years or less. And that tells me that tools, you're in that part of your career in this industry where you're developing your line of tools so that you can have more tricks, more ability to do things, because it's the tools that we only just become slaves to, but they allow us to do all the wonderful things that we want to be able to do. Easier, cut to the chase, get it done quick. And the beauty of this magazine and Micro Mark is when you look inside here, there's a lot of specialty tools, lathes. I saw that you guys got a new drying oven for drying.
Yeah, we developed that. That's nobody else in the world has that. And what it does is save you time in your paint drying process. I mean, a lot of times it's just going from step to step to step. You have to wait a day. This just cuts that down to a few hours. And if you're trying to get something done and you're on a time clock, and who wants to wait anyway?
True.
So
I mean, when I've been modeling and building various projects, I just, there's always that moment when it's like, well, I wish I had the proper tool to do this step.
Yeah.
And then you find that tool actually exists out there, and then it's almost miraculous how much easier the right tool will make any project.
Right.
That's great. So we're going to come out in the fall with a larger version of the Dr. Dry Booth because we've just got so much feedback that, this is great, but I need something a little bigger because my stuff is bigger. So
right, passenger cars and things like that.
Yeah.
4014.
Right. No, that's a good idea, making it larger. I can't wait to see how that turns out. When will that be available?
We have a prototype in the building and we have a great product development staff that works diligently. And what about this? Why is this like this? And we might go through 50 iterations of a prototype before we're comfortable in putting it out there.
That's amazing.
And so the answer to that is, I think this fall, but until we're like 100% sure that we're good with it, then we're not going to release it.
That's amazing, Chaz.
Do you ever user test? You send that kind of stuff out to
That's great.
folks like us?
Yeah,
Feedback?
Yeah. Well, we should do more of that. Part of it is that our people use it. They take it home.
Yeah, because they are the customer to a certain extent.
That's what I think is the core of Micromark is that our team, our modelers, but we also go to trade shows. We also get feedback from call center and the tech support. So we're to me we're getting all that information into one place, and it's real helpful.
That's fantastic. Now, you've recently introduced a new line of buildings also. You're not just selling tools, but you're selling models. And you've got an HO scale line of buildings. Is it scientific, did I see in here?
Yeah, it's SMI, scientific models. So scientific models started off as a manufacturing company in Newark. And we've done, since the 70s, done light assembly work, always have done that. But we felt like that the concept was this: we have some amazing tools. Why don't we make some amazing kits with our amazing tools? So all of our kits from SMI are made from these tools. So those tools include laser cutters, they include casting, we're using 3D printers to make some of these kits.
Fantastic.
3D printers that we sell. So if we don't believe in what, so to me it was sort of a juxtapose. Why are we selling this if it wouldn't be used in the process? And it sort of refines, hey, this is really a great tool. Or this needs to have this other thing to it. So it's like an internal way of policing what we sell. And at the same time, that SMI, those kits they've been selling off the shelf. And we call him the master maker. He's a designer. And a lot of the kits that he's designed, he's used actual plans to make it. Most of them right now are HO scale, but we're looking at other scales. The Keddy roundhouse that he introduced was really a great hit. And the way we did it, we got a print made from Peter Lero for the Keddy roundhouse, and that's on the cover of the box. But you can buy the print separately. But it's the roundhouse that was on the Keddy L, and Donald did a great job with that. It's been flying off the shelf, and I think it's a great collector's device, collector piece. But it's really fun stuff that he's putting out there, and he's really cranking out a lot of different kits. There's plenty of kits, but for this, to me, it's a good story because we're manufacturing now. We've really brought back the manufacturing space in our New Jersey facility, manufacturing in the U.S. and it's taken up more of our warehouse. So we have this internal battle between the warehouse manager and the manufacturing manager. Like, I need this space, you need that space. It's good stuff. I like the story. I like the history, and almost everything that he's putting out has some historical value to what we're selling.
This sounds interesting. I can't wait to get out there and see this operation. This has got to be so much fun when you go to work every day. This has got to be awesome. This is awesome.
Great.
Now, in order to help support one of the best hobbies in the world, and that's the hobby of model railroading that we all agree with, pretty much that's common, you are interested in helping us with the show to support the hobby. And by doing so, you've created some sort of a program, a partnership program where we can work with you so that when our viewers want to purchase something from Micromark, they are going to enter a product code with their purchase. And a portion of the proceeds of that will go to helping us produce this show. Tell us a little bit about that product code and how that would work.
So I'm a strong believer in supporting the hobby. And I look at your show and I say, hey, this is supporting the hobby. You're not selling Micromark, you're selling the hobby. You're getting people interested from all aspects. I know you got a lot of young people new to the hobby in your group, but you also have some guys that have been in the trade a while, and that's a good combination because you just get guys sitting right there at your space there that have been there a while. And so we want to support it, and we thought that this is a good partnership to support the hobby, to support your show, which is supporting the hobby.
We all appreciate
and so if anybody
that.
uses that code when they come into our site, or they link in through your YouTube location with that code, then it's going to support your show, and that I think would be great. The price for them is going to be the same. This is just going to support the show. So that we're excited about that partnership, and we want it to go a long way.
We really appreciate that. We thank you for doing that. That'll give us our travel budget that we need for going to these shows. We're going to Deshler. I understand that we're going at the end of June. Is it Deshler, Nebraska? Am I saying the name right?
Yeah.
Mike, you're going with me to that. And I think we're taking Sugar Fire, Joshua Barton with us. And a lot of manufacturers are going to be at that show. And that's a good show where we can actually discuss and talk about different ideas for, a lot of different things. And plus, we've also got Train Fest. Do you, Mark, or tell me, Chaz, do you guys set up a Train Fest, or do you do the Anna Marie National? What's one of your more favorite type of shows you set up at?
So here's the truth. Micromark, up until 2016, was not at any trade shows.
Okay.
0. And I didn't like that. I think that, trade shows is supporting the industry, but also it's a place where you get feedback. You get face-to-face feedback.
Right.
Real feedback. I mean, not all of it is perfect. Everyone, would like things to be better. And so that's where you're standing there and you're talking to people and you're getting that feedback. So we went from 0 trade shows a year to this year is going to be 20.
Wow.
Which is pretty rapid growth. And really nobody in our building other than a few of us has really been a part of trade shows. So you have to learn how to do trade shows. We kind of focused initially on local trade shows and supporting those trade shows and train shows and model shows. But in the long run, we really feel like Micromark will be a presence at trade shows, throughout the country and maybe throughout the world, because, that is important. And that's one way that we are engaging. We have all of our old products that we can show at those shows. There's a lot of people haven't seen. But then all these new stuff is also interesting. So you kind of combine that, what's relevant, what are they, and then you get that feedback. That's why trade shows are so important.
That's great.
But new product is also, for us, a way of supporting the industry. That's why new product development is expensive, and it's not always work. It doesn't always work. We have a lot of products that we are not comfortable with to introduce, so we spend a lot of money developing it, but it's not going to. You're never going to see it until we get it right. And another way that we're supporting it, like you guys are doing, is with social media. And our social media, via Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, is not about selling a product. A lot of times it's about supporting the industry. Those three ways to us are the way to sort of support the industry as we do what we do.
It sounds like you guys are making some amazing changes, and these are all very positive social media type changes. This is going to be very good for you. I believe this.
Well, I think those are the right things. I think, rather than hunker down, there's a lot of complication in business today.
Yes.
A lot of things that are changing very rapidly. But I think engagement is the better path than anything, and you'll see us more than you've ever seen us before.
That's fantastic. I want to go to James Regier real quick, because James, you brought over a Santa Fe GP35 tonight, and you did some beautiful weathering on this, but you also loaded it up with LED lights. That seems to be your specialty. Tell us about this locomotive. It's amazing.
Well, I can tell you a little bit more about the LED lights on there. I'm not really a weathering specialist. I actually managed to find that level of weathering on eBay. That some other modeler had done this, but I did put in the LED lights. It's really amazing with those 0402 LEDs, the ones that are so small that that they're like grain of sand LEDs. I mean, it used to be grain of wheat, light bulbs, but now you got these grain of sand LEDs.
Before that, it was grain of rice.
Right, and they almost squeeze down to the size that they look like scale light bulbs, and so that allows you to put on truck lights. It allows you to put on ditch lights fairly easily, and really small ditch light casings. Makes a whole bunch of effects possible now that just really are relatively new to the hobby. Now, of course, there's a technique to all of this, and I can get into some of that too. There are insulating paints that I've discovered. The silicone paints that really help with the wiring to help make sure that there's no arcs between the shell of the locomotive and the frame of the locomotive, because those will kill your light circuit in a hurry. But there's a lot of tips and tricks to it. But once you have it completed, it just produces a really nice effect. And I really hope we're rolling the B-roll so that you can all see it.
I don't even know what tonight's B-roll is going to look like, because the Micromark section, I think I'm going through the whole website. Tonight's going to be an interesting show to shoot. And in fact, we're kind of making this up as we go along. Dan, you're going to be coming back. Dan Parmelee, you're going to be hanging out with me, because as you fly in town, you have hangovers and
layovers.
Okay.
I hope you're not flying with hangover.
No, hopefully not hangovers.
Dan, here's what I want you to do. I want you to switch out with Greg Javonillo. We're going to bring in Greg here. Greg, don't touch the wires on the floor as you step into position here, because that's our sound. And just real quick, I want Greg, after he gets in here and sitting down here, to tell us about the Crescent lines. This is your own prototype railroad that you run on your layout. Tell me about these beautiful models you brought for us tonight, and welcome to the show, Greg.
All right, so these models are these are actually our club layouts home road.
Okay.
So this actually.
That's right, Mike. You guys.
Yeah.
Do the introduction, Mike.
Well, Greg recognized me at a hobby shop about 6 months ago, I guess, and then he happened to be staying downtown right next to Sugar Fire, and he ran into Josh there. And then when he went to the airport to fly back to New Orleans, he saw Daniel at the airport.
We talked about you.
Yes.
Oh, my God, I remember this. This was like 6 months ago.
Right.
That was you.
Yeah,
Right.
Nice to meet you.
The light finally clicked on.
Oh, my God, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. I don't believe that there are any coincidences in life, but I think
that was pretty weird.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. It was pretty weird because it was right before Josh had actually been on the show for like the first time.
Right.
So I actually didn't meet Josh, but I went to his restaurant before he started appearing on the show, and then once he started appearing on the show, I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So then what I eventually ended up doing is I was communicating back and forth with Mike over social media, and I told him the story, and he was like, no, there's no way that happened. And then he further related it on the show a couple weeks later. So what an odd set of circumstances.
A small world.
Yeah, it's definitely a small world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I like this freight car you got weathered up here too. Did you? And you've got this very interesting maintenance way passenger car. Tell us about that.
All right, so that full disclosure, I actually didn't build that. That's actually it was
Maintenance away car.
the maintenance
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
car was actually built by a model railroader that's no longer with us named Mike Muley back in the 90s. But it was one of the cars where when I joined the club, it was one of those things that I kind of looked at, and it was one of the pieces of work that I really admired. So it's one of those things. One of the benefits of being a member of a club is that you can actually get to learn from people like that.
Right.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
So, when you combine something like learning from somebody hands-on that can do that, and also learning from the new media, which is YouTube and social
Right.
media, I mean, you really do get a well-rounded education and learning how to do these models and
True.
these skills. So,
Well, you learned how to do the roof from Jason Quinn, didn't you? From one
Yeah,
of Ken's.
yeah, this is one of our actual club cars.
Jason, we love Jason Quinn.
Yeah.
And that was actually my first experimentation with oil paints and oil paint weathering. So after I watched that segment on What's Neat, I literally went out to Hobby Lobby, got myself some oil paints and some turpenoid, and away I went. So and I just I would play the video a couple times, and then just practice my technique.
Tell us about that stump car there. I've never seen one of those.
So that I actually picked that up at the Amherst Model Railroad Show last year, and it was one of those things where my railroad of choice is actually the Seaboard, the Seaboard Airline, and the Seaboard Coastline, and it was one of those unique models that I had never actually seen a kit of, or I had never actually seen the prototype of. So it was one of those things that I kind of gravitated towards when I was at the show, and that's by that. If anybody's interested in putting together that kit, it's by Tichy Train Group, which you can get that online, or if you can make it up to Amherst, you can find them there. They always have a big presence there. But yeah, so I painted it and I weathered it. It is technically kind of like a Craftsman kit, even though it is styrene. But if you flip it over, there's all kinds of underbody detail.
Yeah.
The trucks are KDs, as are the couplers.
Right.
And I did the decal work as well.
That's cool, man.
And that was
really like
used
that.
for in pulpwood operations when they would put the logs on the pulpwood cars. Then they would pull the stumps out of the ground and throw them in those things.
Yeah, so they would put
Okay.
they would put the stumps in the car after they had pulled after they clear cut a forest area, and then those would further be used as to process the sap for
Turpentine and
turpentine
stuff.
and resins and stuff like that. So
Right.
that's what they would use that car. And even though it's shiny new right now,
Yeah.
it would be rather beat up, kind of a shall we say a car that experienced deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, Mike, we've got some freight cars on the table from Athern, and I believe that Austin Allard was telling me about these earlier. Chris Palomares, in fact, FedExed these to me, so I think I'll be shooting these outside this week. But tell me, what are these? What's the designation for that car?
4600 hopper ACF, I guess, is it?
ACF 4600, that's
Yes.
correct. And I've got to tell you what, they've got different roof hatches on each one of these. And when I pulled these out of the box, dude, it reminded me of the old days when we buy something out of brass. I mean, just the etched metal details that they are able to come out with. And this is in the Genesis line, so this is as close to real as it gets.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Athern, for providing us with those freight cars. And Chris, I'll get these things shot and get the photos to you by Tuesday. I've also got the NCE Power Cab. Actually, it's not on the table. I used it on an N-scale layout that I set up in the garage this week. It's something quick and nasty that I wanted to do quick just to get something running, because I wanted to try to shoot some N-scale video outside, but I've discovered that depth of field is very difficult with N-scale. But I took that NCE Power Cab and just hooked it right up to it, plugged it in the wall, and that was it. The Bachmann DCC engines were running just like that. So you talk about a simple way to go, completely upgradable with radio and any other option that you'd want. It's great. So check it out, the NCE DCC system. It's pretty neat. It is the power of DCC. And guys, we're going to be coming up on time on this one. So I'm going to go around the table one more time to make sure everything's cool and we didn't miss anything locally here, guys. We'll talk about the trolley next week. And Chaz, I want to thank you very much. And I'd like to actually have you back on the show because you are very interesting and I love when you talk.
Well, thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you much, and make sure you use the code below, the Micromark code below, to connect to Micromark and to support this show.
That is WNTW, and we will put that at the. Actually, I'm supposed to make an 8-second opening clip for you at the beginning of each show from now on, and we will do that starting probably this week. So with that, it's a little awkward because I don't have a clock here. I have no idea when we started this show, but I know we've gone for at least 30 minutes. Wouldn't you guess?
Sure.
So Flying Blind, guys, the best hobby in the world, the What's Neat This Week podcast number 77. That's going to be it, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, do we got to do an opening now? Okay, what are we doing for an opening? Fine. And you're still rolling?
You shut this camera off and leave it
No, just don't worry about it. It'll fake it. Guys, this is the What's Neat This Week show number 77. We've made it that far. We've got some really great guests from all over the country with us tonight. I know I say that all the time, but it happens every week, and it just keeps getting better. What's Neat This Week show number 77. Let's go, guys.
All right.
I guess we got it.
Sounds good.
Do you feel comfortable with everything we did, Chaz?
Absolutely, but the man, I'm sorry I don't know his name, in the red, wasn't sitting there at the start of the show, so you need to redo that with the other guy. Can you do that? Does that make sense? Or not? It doesn't matter.
We kind of do.
Oh, the opening. That's funny. I never thought about that.
Let's bring them all in. All five of us should be there for the opening, right?
No, very good, Chaz. Dude,
Good
The
call.
only thing I saw,
give him a
Good call.
raise. Chaz gets a raise tonight.
Continuity.
Did you hear that, Austin? Tonight, Chaz is getting a raise.
Chaz is the boss, right?
Austin can tell you all about this. Okay, here we go. One more time.
Do you want me to switch the headphones?
No, you just stay there.
Yeah, just
Okay.
stay there. Yeah, we'll all be in the.
Just everybody's
I'll
gonna
pretend
smile.
like I'm on a stool back.
I can't-
got your 2 pair of
God,
glasses.
this guy
and
is 2,000
all set.
miles away, and he picked up on that.
It's
I mean,
probably
look.
easier to pick up from 2,000 miles.
Sounds like
Well,
some
he's
great
all
animal.
about precision up there, right? So
Okay, let's try this
That's
one more time.
right.
This will be funny.
Good.
Got your double glasses there.
Hey, so I'm gonna do it that way.